Hello and welcome to a special Independence Day edition of Buffoon of the Week. On days when we aren't celebrating the birth of the greatest nation on earth, we normally go through last week's news and current events, looking out for people who did or said something pretty dumb. And those chosen few get a chance to win our dubious honor of being the stupidest newsmaker of the week. But this week, since everyone just got done commemorating our nation's founding, we thought it would be fun to search through history and remember some of the, quirkier moments from America's past. Some of these stories you may know or have heard before, others you may be hearing for the first time. But before we get to all the fun, here's just a reminder that we release videos weekly on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you like what we do, smash that thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing to our show. We're on our way to reaching 200 subscribers. Please be one of them. We want you around so we can all have more fun together. And now, on to our salute to American buffoonery. When you think of America's founding fathers, the name Gouverneur Morris may not ring a bell, but you all know a powerful phrase he coined. Known as the penman of the Constitution, Morris is credited with first writing the phrase, "We the people of the United States." Now that's a pretty cool and enduring moment of American history. What isn't so cool or enduring was the manner in which Morris met his demise. You see, Morris passed from internal injuries and infection while using a whalebone as a catheter in an attempt to clear a urinary tract blockage. Oh my god, are you freaking shitting me? He shoved a whalebone up his... Apparently, this wasn't the first time he'd done this, as history records that Morris was once successful in doing this before, but with a piece of hickory. Good lord, man! This is one of the many reasons why Morris is considered one of the oddest of our founding fathers. Whew. Moving on to something a little less painful. Back in our nation's infancy, many found the speeches made in Congress just as about as useful as we do these days. But the rambling speech of one congressman back in 1820 still lives on in infamy in some very small way. In February of that year, Felix Walker of Buncombe County, North Carolina, rose to address the question of admitting Missouri as a free or slave state. And he was doing so right before the vote was to be called. So basically, he was just trying to get on the record, just like many congressmen today. Allegedly, what followed was a long and wearisome speech in which his colleagues shouted him down. Walker's persistent efforts made his home of Buncombe, later shortened to Bunk, a synonym for meaningless political claptrap and later for any kind of nonsense. A fitting legacy for our Congress, don't you think? The next time someone tries to call Space Force a dumb idea, remind them that the US once had a Camel Corps. Before he became the President of the Confederacy and was best known for the legend of his arrest while disguised in women's clothing, Jefferson Davis was US Secretary of War under President Franklin Pierce. Davis took up a military experiment like none other before, using camels as pack animals to improve transportation in the southwestern United States, which Davis and others just thought was one big desert. Thus, the United States Camel Corps was created. While the camels proved to be hardy and were well suited for travel through the region, the Army declined to adopt these stubborn animals for military use, especially after Davis, the primary supporter of the project, joined the Confederacy. Speaking of animals, ever wonder where our political parties derived their respective animal symbols? You guessed it, straight out of political satire. The Democrat donkey really is a jackass. No, seriously it is. The donkey was first used in a political cartoon during the 1828 political campaign against Andrew Jackson. Like any good politician, Jackson flipped the negative into a positive, adopting the jackass as a symbol of his determination and defeating John Quincy Adams for the presidency. But that symbol? It's a jackass, and don't let anyone else tell you differently. As for the Republican elephant, all credit goes to noted political cartoonist Thomas Nast. He was the first to depict the Republican Party as an elephant for a cartoon in Harper's Weekly in 1870. The cartoon showed a jackass in lion's clothing representing an editorial in the New York Herald which Nast believed was fear-mongering the threat of a dictatorial third term from President Ulysses S. Grant. A Democrat jackass used to symbolize the press spreading fear about a Republican president. The press being equated to Democrats? That never happens. Anyways, many have suggested that Nast, a Republican himself, used the elephant to symbolize the phrase, seeing the elephant, which was used during the Civil War era to mean a soldier seeing combat, a clear nod to Republicans fighting to end slavery a few years prior. Speaking of President Grant, few administrations have gone on to symbolize corruption as much as his. The number of real scandals is nothing to joke about, but here's something that is. Grant appointed so many relatives to positions in the federal government that the term Grantism became synonymous with nepotism. Grant appointed his father, Jesse Root Grant, Postmaster General of Covington, Kentucky, his cousin, Silas Hudson, as Minister to Guatemala, and his brother-in-law, the Reverend M.J. Kramer, as Consul to Leipzig. Another brother-in-law, James Casey, was appointed Collector of Customs of the Port of New Orleans and was widely accused of stealing money at his job. Yet another brother-in-law, Frederick Dent, was an usher at the White House, where it is said that he sold insider information, what we'd call leaks today. All told, it is believed that close to 40 relatives held government appointments while Grant was president. That's gotta be some kind of nepotism record. Back to President Andrew Jackass Jackson. God, why do I keep doing that? The folks over at Bravo may owe Andrew Jackson's estate some royalties, as he presided over what was probably the first ever version of Real Housewives of the Potomac. Led by Floride Calhoun, wife of the Vice President John Calhoun, these women, dubbed the Petticoats, socially ostracized then Secretary of War John Eaton and his wife Peggy Eaton over disapproval of the circumstances surrounding the Eaton's marriage, what they deemed as her failure to meet the moral standards of a cabinet wife. Ooh. Apparently, Eaton and his wife, who were introduced to each other by President Jackson, waited less than a year after Peggy's widow's passing in order to get married. Oh, the shame! The cattiness was real. One particularly delicious rumor that spread concerned Peggy's, virtue, as her father owned and operated a bar and boarding house known in political circles. But the fallout was far from your garden variety light reality show fluff. The Petticoat Affair, as it came to be known, tore the Jackson administration in half between Jackson and supporters of Eaton and Calhoun's anti-Eaton faction. Ultimately, the affair became partly responsible for ending Calhoun's presidential aspirations and relegated him to a regional leader of the southern states. But if we were to crown the king of American buffoonery, none would compare to that revolutionary rapscallion, the one and only Dr. Benjamin Franklin. While Franklin is rightly lauded for his advancements in politics, science, and the humanities, he's also used his intellect in deliciously buffoonish ways. While many of his letters and essays provide for the foundation of American political culture, some of his lesser-known works, not so much. Take this one, Fart Proudly, an American essay directed at the stuffed shirts at the Royal Academy of Brussels, suggesting that research and practical reasoning be undertaken into methods of improving the odor of human flatulence. Oh, that Ben. Then there's his letter to a friend advising on the choice of mistress, in which Franklin counsels a young man about channeling his sexual urges. In the letter, Franklin is advising a young man that he should heed his advice and get married. But if he chooses not to, then he should then choose an older mistress over a younger one. And he provides many reasons why. That's recommended reading. We should also note that Franklin is credited with the invention of the flexible catheter in 1751, something Governor Morris might have liked to have known about. But one more last tidbit. Franklin, along with Noah Webster, yep, that Webster, once proposed a revision of the English language with a newer alphabet and phonetic spelling. So for example, the word through would become THRU, or night would become NITE, and so on. So kids, next time mom and dad get mad about your texting, look them right in the eyes and tell them that you're just following the example of Dr. Benjamin Franklin. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. We hope you enjoyed this little fun video. Got a story of historical American buffoonery? Share it in the comments. We'll be up to our normal hijinks again next week, where we'll pick 2 nominees, but only one can be Buffoon of the Week. Hey guys, thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully you really liked it, so please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to our channel. We're on a road to 200 subscribers. Come back next week. We'll be back to our normal schedule, where you get to pick who's Buffoon of the Week.